Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Sorare Gallery Builder. Today with me as my special guest is Sam Tai of Ranks FC podcast. Sam, welcome to Sorare Gallery Builder.
Oh, what an honor. I've been watching for a couple of weeks now. Quinny, I can't say Jonathan.
Jonathan, I think.
Jonathan. Obviously came up with the idea. Shouts out to him. I butchered his name immediately, but shouts out to him. I think it's a great concept. I knew you'd be putting in the call to me at some point soon. I knew you'd run out of guests after 2 weeks, Harry.
That is my worry. Yeah, I've been thinking I'm going to run out of numerical values of galleries, and then I'm also going to run out of guests. So we're going to have to spice things up somehow. We can do under 23 versions, America versions. Yeah. Well, you can tell by the title, guys. We're going to be building or trying to build a Sorare gallery for £100. Great British pounds, that is. How did you find the challenge, Sam? I know you started and finished yesterday, I believe.
Yeah, I mean, £100 goes a long way in Sorare right now. In the current market, £100 when I first started in Sorare, which was September 2021, would have got you half a goalkeeper. so nowadays, the fact that I've been able to pick up 2 and have money to build the rest of the team kind of speaks to the differences of the market. It makes it more fun, of course. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I've genuinely found about 19 players for this amount of money. I'm really pleased with myself.
Before I do forget, last episode, I asked you guys to comment below who you thought, whose gallery was better, mine or Quinny's. Thankfully, I came out as the winner. In the first episode against Jonathan, I was actually on the losing end of things. But I won this episode. 26 comments, for me. Thank you. 16 for Quinny. And one of them was actually Quinny himself. So Quinny commented.
You dig your own grave, Quinny.
Exactly. Yeah, he had it coming. But no, I really do appreciate that, lads. Same again for this episode. Whoever's gallery you think is the best build, make sure you let us know in the comment section. Give us a reason why. And the loser, i.e. me or Sam, will have to give away a limited card at random to one of the comments in the comment section. Also, if you do enjoy the series, the episode, please do leave it a like. And if you're brand new around here, please do subscribe. Lads, I just wanted to let you know, just in case you haven't yet signed up to Sorare, there's a link in the description of this video that will get you 1 free limited card once you've purchased your first 5 from the new card auctions over on Sorare. That's enough from me. Let's get back to the video. Sam's YouTube channel link, even though he doesn't have his own, he does have a very successful podcast called Ranks FC. The link is in the description to his channel, and you can just click it from the title, which is just great now. Yeah, I guess first off then, Sam, let's talk about our strategies before we get into the actual players. Obviously £100, you've obviously gone into limited. It's not really possible anywhere else, which is just, let's just state the obvious. Where is your sort of energy going in terms of divisions, regions, etc.?
Yeah, so I have basically gone for threshold as much as possible, but I've also stipulated basically I'm staying inside 2 different divisions. I'm not going any further than 2. So I've built my entire selection out of Challenger Europe and second division, because I think that's where most of the value comes, particularly in the second division. But I think we need to keep it to 2 divisions, because what I want to be able to do with this selection of players is compete for the threshold, and I want to field a second team on the side and just stick it into whichever one of the divisions that the goalkeeper left over, i.e. not in the cap team, is playing.
Yeah.
And then you can have two bites at the cherry. Obviously you put 1 in the cap and that's your focus. You can pick from 18 or 19 players here with my selection, and you can pick the best 5 that might get you that $5. And then the other one, just enter the lottery. Why not? Use the cards. Use 10 if you can. And the reason I basically decided to target the threshold was quite simply, I think that in order to enjoy this game, and in order to continue to feel like you're enjoying it and feel like you are having success, you need to win stuff. Now, winning cards is genuinely not that easy anymore. It's very competitive, particularly in the limited division, and you might need 330 points or something to get a tier 3. The easiest way to feel like you are being successful at Sorare is to earn a threshold. And if you are successful at the game, you'll enjoy it. And if you will enjoy it, you will continue to play it. So this mechanism that Sorare have built in, particularly now on the limited side at $5, is a really nice way of dipping your toes and kind of almost immediately feel like you are getting something out of it and you are sticking around. So I think it's really important to feel like you haven't put £100 into a machine and lost it. I feel like it's important to feel like you are capable of earning that back via the threshold. and that will definitely keep you around, and it will definitely mean that you enjoy it.
Yeah, something that, over the last, we've done 2 episodes. You did £200 with £500, and I've not targeted the threshold once, which, looking back, maybe is probably not a regret of mine. But going into this episode, for some reason, even before we even spoke yesterday, I had in my mind, you know what, I'm going to challenge myself. Can I build a limited threshold side with £100? And yes, it's clearly doable. The issue is now, and it's not really an issue, is you need more than 5 players. You just can't play the threshold. You can't play Cap 240 limited without excess players. You just need them because of course L15s fluctuate. You just can't use the same 5 players every week. You could, no. But you'd have to be very lucky to do so, and I just don't think it would make sense with matchups and how the game needs to be played and how you need to get good at the game. You need to be able to take advantage of matchups, and I kind of did follow in your footsteps in that sense. I did try my best to build a limited Cap 240 contingency. I don't have a second second string side. Basically, I've gone all in on the threshold. So yeah, I'm gonna have a lot of like I mentioned, I think I've got 12 players, so 7 of them every week, unfortunately. Unless there's a MLS draft coming soon, maybe. Then I could potentially use them in semi-pro if there is a semi-pro MLS draft. Get our teeth stuck into. But right now, yeah, the goal is to nail that $5, £, whatever, threshold every week using America cards. So that was kind of my strategy. You've gone for the Challenger Division 2 side of things. I've gone for the America region. So yeah, do you want to sort of start us off then with your goalkeeper picks?
Yeah, sure. Okay. Let's go to goalkeeper then, and let's add some players into this shortlist. And I'm going to start with Dominik Schiel from Austria Lustenau, and a man who has caused me a lot of pain on this platform. I would never buy myself, but I always look at him and think, actually, that's a really good purchase. Andreas Luther. So what you've got here is your challenger keeper in Schiel. With an L15 of 44. He looks very likely to be dropping into the second half of the Austrian Bundesliga table, where it splits in 3 weeks' time. So very shortly, he will have only matchups against also not very good Austrian teams. So he won't have to play against RB Salzburg, and he won't have to play against Lask and Sturm Graz for a long time now, which is very attractive for an Austrian goalkeeper. So he's my challenger pick. And then Andreas Luther, who was at Union Berlin last year and started the majority of games, dropped into the second division to play for Kaiserslautern. He's my second division goalkeeper. Both pretty manageable L15s, both good goalkeepers, either in terms of Luther, who's good for his division, or Schiel, who is just only going to be playing against teams that are basically as bad as his, and therefore the scores may well improve. So that's who I've gone for.
What are the prices, of each one?
So we've got about a floor of £20.50 on Schiel, and the floor on Luther has gone up a little bit since yesterday. Wow. 21. The last sort of trading averages here are £17.50 and £19.60. So I've kind of used like 4/10 of my budget on 2 goalkeepers, which never feels good. No. But it's just the nature of the beast.
It is. Yeah, you've done well there, actually. I just like how you've only spent £40 on 2 starting goalkeepers. That just sounds delightful, because you're gonna have 60 quid left over to spend on the 17 odd players you said you got in. So my goalkeepers come in the form of a handcuff situation, Sam. So, I said, I'm only going for the Cap 240 limited. I'm not playing anywhere else right now until maybe I eventually win another a goalkeeper or buy one. But I'm going in with Brad Guzan of Atlanta United. We're going to handcuff him with Westberg. If it comes up, it does. Quinton Westberg is in there. I think he comes in at £4. So he's a backup goalkeeper, if you don't know, lads, of Atlanta United. They're both very old, if we're being completely honest. Brad Guzan, very veteran keeper now, 38 years old, had a really bad injury last year, which left him out for the majority of the season. Atlanta weren't great defensively last year. They lost Miles Robinson as well at the back, who's their sort of main centre half. So it was a tough year last year for them. £26.50 floor on Brad Guzan, £4 on Westberg. So I've basically spent £30 on a goalkeeper contingency where if one gets injured, touch wood, Guzan doesn't. I've got Westberg to come in and just be there as usable. We just need usable goalkeepers in this Cap 240, So yeah, that's what I'm going with. I'm going with the Atlanta goalkeeper stack. to target my E.
I mean, you've got the summer coverage and I don't.
Yeah.
So I mean that's something you've got over me. What I would say is that in using Challenger and maybe second division, but mostly Challenger, throughout the list, you'll probably notice that I do have a lot of early summer starters. So
Okay.
if you look at the calendar, for those that are wondering and haven't done a Sorare summer, I mean, last summer I was just trying to get Belgium, Austria, Russia, Denmark, anything that starts mid-July, early July.
Yeah.
Because that is a way to kind of circumvent the fact that a lot of the clubs don't come back till August. So I will have a bit of coverage, but June is very barren for me on this short list. I can move to forwards. This is where I went to next in the process. I mean, basically, you just try and find the cheap goalkeepers. And then I thought, I do need some decisives here. I think as we've started to get to grips with Cap 240, I think my general rule is you need 5 starters.
Yeah.
And if you get 2 decisives, you are going to hit 250. You can cope with 1 decisive and a nice selection of 45s, 48s, 50s. That's okay. But if you have 5 starters and 2 decisives, you will hit the cap. So I wanted to give that flexibility on the goalkeepers. I can maybe pick between them, maybe home and away, maybe matchup based.
Yeah,
I also wanted to make sure that my forwards were actually quite decent. So here are the 4 forwards that I have gone for.
Let's do it.
The first one is Maxi Gomez at Trabzonspor, who I own in rare. So trust me, very good.
Little pump there.
The next one is Morgan Gilavogi, who is the brother of Josuha Gilavogi over at Wolfsburg. You might have seen that name before. He's got a brother called Morgan, plays in the second division in France, in Paris. I've got Alan Sousa from Aalborg, and I've got one of my favourites, Jose Callejon at Granada, who I support for full disclosure. But these are the 4 I've gone with.
Yeah.
Maxi plays up front for Trabzonspor, who won the title last year. They're not the best team in Turkey anymore, but they're pretty damn good. And he's really good on the AA, usually good for 15 AA as a forward, which is rare, and scores and assists as well. Gilavogi had a little bit of a rough patch over the course of maybe January, but very good, plays up front. And Alan Sousa plays on the wing for Aalborg. They're not very good, but he's their only source of creativity in the entire team. Really good dribbling player. And Callejon, I love. He's a bit on the older side, as you can see, 36, but he takes their set pieces and he always starts. He's extremely important. Bear in mind, he was in Serie A last year, I think. He spent a long time at Napoli. He dropped into the second division because he's from the Granada area, and in his middle 30s now has decided to go and play for his kind of hometown club, which is really nice.
Yeah.
And he batters that league. Like, he's so much better than most of the players in it. So those are the 4 forwards. I feel like between Maxi and Callejon, I've got a really strong shot at a decisive. Really strong.
Really, really strong. Like, Maxi, I've got Maxi's notifications on for some reason on Sofa Score, because I think I had a super rare ages ago. And he just seems to score every week. He just seems to do something every week, whether that's assist,
he's only
goal.
12 quid, man. 12 quid on the limited side.
It's cheap.
It's pretty damn good. I think the best is yet to come for him, for sure.
100%. No, I like that. Four really strong forwards there. I've gone for the opposite of that in that sense, in terms of, I think when I'm envisioning my Cap 240 lineup, I'm probably going with 2 midfielders most of the time, maybe 2 defenders depending on matchups. But I just can never see me going with 2 forwards, because I think it's too sort of decisive dependent, especially with the forwards I've sort of bought. I've kind of reserved a lot. Well, I basically not spent a lot of money on my forwards, which we will get into. I've only got 3. I've got 3 for every position. We're going with Herbert, who's just recently moved to Seattle. Yes, I've gone with Herbert. I think he sent me back £7.50. I've gone for a guy called Ronaldo, but unfortunately not Cristiano.
Oh, no, fortunately, he's not covered.
True. Okay, that's fair. Ronaldo. We're going with Cisneros, who was actually at Atlanta last year for a little bit. He's gone back to Guadalajara this year in the Mexican League. I forgot to add my last player, which is Brian White of Vancouver Whitecaps. I'll be honest, I didn't really prioritize my forwards in the sense of, I'm not going for complete smashers, in terms of price, in terms of personnel. Herbert won't be the starting forward for Seattle. That's just a brutal sort of honest point. When Ruud Diaz and if Ruud Diaz is fit, I think Ruud Diaz plays, and I think everyone else would probably agree with that. But Herbert played the first game of the MLS last week, got himself a goal. I think he's always good off the bench as well, and I just don't really see me losing too much utility in him in the sense I think he's always going to play, whether that's off the bench or starting, depending on Rudy Diaz's fitness. And for £8, I think he's just going to be a bit of a poacher, and that's just all he kind of is anyway, really, and kind of was at New York City last year. So £8 on him. Cisneros for £5. He started the season pretty well. I like the look of the L15 and L5 situation. He's got a 45 L5 and a 36 L15, which is just perfect. Atlanta paid big money for him. I'm not sure what the whole situation was in him going back to Mexico, but he's there. He's scoring goals. And yeah, the league's just started. And then the Brian White situation, I mean, Vancouver aren't very good, but this guy just plays every game. I kind of just accept that I'm much more reliant on my midfielders to get me those peak scores, to get me those decisives, and my forwards are just there really to just act as like L15 buffers, basically, just nice and low. Hopefully they nag a goal. If they don't, they're just in there just to play at that point. And yeah, that's kind of my 3 forward situation.
Yeah, so I get it, and yours is a more streamlined selection than mine. But what I wanted to do was mix and match the defenders and midfielders really quite heavily. Like, I wanted way more options in defence and midfield, which is sort of naturally a cheaper area to recruit in order to make up the differences on the cap, because it's harder to be flexible with forwards because you don't have as many of them and they are more expensive. So I went for 4 forwards, and I tried to add a bit of quality in there, particularly with Maxi Gomez, knowing that if I could pick up 10 or 12 defenders and midfielders combined, somewhere week to week,
there has to be something.
I can find the equilibrium. So defenders or midfielders first? What do you want from me?
We'll go defenders.
Okay, so in defense, I'm prepared to get super weird, guys. First off, someone I won as a rare this week, Michael Murillo at Anderlecht, whose scores are really up and down. I think you really need to play the matchup with him, but that's kind of the point. An old friend, Majid Hosseini at Kayserispor.
Yep.
My favourite player on earth, to the point where it's getting a bit concerning, Carlos Neva. A player I've been watching for San Etienne recently, indirectly because I've been watching Dennis Apaya, but his teammate Petro is also very good. And I'm also going to stick in another Granada player just because he's so cheap, Eric Cabaco. So here's where we got to. Okay. So on these guys, Neva is brilliant. I still think he doesn't show up in a lot of searches because his L40 is quite low, but that's because he got an ACL tear. But since he's come back at the start of the season, he's been unbelievable. Brilliant left back for Granada. Eric Cabaco, his teammate, he is usually a reserve, but Granada's best centre back, Miguel Rubio, has just been ruled out for 6-8 weeks maybe with a hamstring injury. Cabaco came in for the first game post Rubio, and as you can see from the L5, he didn't do too badly. Granada, very solid, very good goalkeeper. They're a good investment in terms of defence. Petro seems to be like a tackle machine, and I don't know if you've watched much Ligue 2 football, Harry, but it's a mess. No one can hang on to the ball for more than 3 seconds, and everyone's just tackling each other. Yeah. So that's a great recipe for double doubles. Hosseini at Kayserispor, very, very solid. That L5 will start to come down. He went on a bit of a hot streak where he kept scoring from corners. It was a bit weird. He is a centre-back. That won't happen. And Murillo, if you play the matchup right, he can score big. If you get it wrong, he will be sent off. Be warned. But there are 5 players that you can use. 2 from Challenger, 3 from Ligue 2, for the second division. And not one of them is more than £5. So that feels like a bit of a win. And you get nice flexibility.
That's the beauty of just having those, rather than with me, I've got 2 or 3 options. You've got 3 or 4/5, and the chances are if you've got 5 different, I know 2 play for the same team, I guess, but if you've got 4 different teams playing out of 5 defenders, chances are 2 of them are probably going to be at home every week. You're just playing with numbers in that sense, and ultimately you are able to just cherry pick those matchups at every given game week, and I do like that.
100%. I mean, look, if you'd have put Carlos Neva and Eric Cabaco together this weekend, they would have got you 135 points.
Wow.
They beat Malaga 1-0. Cabaco got 80 and Neva got 53. So it's a big haul. And, if you can play that matchup at home or Granada. I mean, Granada are going to be away this weekend, but they've got Burgos who never score.
Yeah.
So like, I'm playing Never again this week. He'll be in my super rare kickoff. Like he'll be in every team. So like he will be in. I've got him in 3 scarcities. He will be all over my teams because you played that matchup. And so I wanted the quantity so that I could have that flexibility.
No, it makes sense. I really do like it. And yeah, looking at mine now. I've got 3 defenders again, similar to the forward numbers. We're going with a John Nelson, who's recently moved to St. Louis FC on St. Louis City. New MLS team. We've got Fontas of Sporting Kansas City. And we've got, I mentioned him earlier, Miles Robinson. So
look at you with your defensive stack.
Look at me. I've still managed to print my my staple sort of strategy, I guess, on Sorare is this goalkeeper defensive stack. And like I said, Miles Robinson was out for basically the whole of last year. I think he ruptured his Achilles. He had a really bad either Achilles or ankle injury. And on paper and on the field, he is Atlanta's best defender by a mile. I think he is good enough to go play in Europe. Physically, you laughing there?
I'm laughing because you said by a mile. That's his name. By several miles, by my count.
That's actually really funny. That's really funny.
Yeah.
By Miles Robinson. I wasn't switched on to that at all. Nice wordplay, Sam. Really nice.
Thank you.
44 L15. They didn't really play, or he didn't really play, or score very well on the weekend.
Almada took like 900 shots, and like none of them went in until the last minute. It was hilarious to watch.
The only issue with this is, in terms of L15s, is obviously he's only got 1 game in his last sort of 15. So his next game is obviously going to determine, or there's only going to be 2 scores to go off, isn't there? Basically, if he scores 60, he's going to be at like a 50 or whatever it is, whatever the median that is between 44 and 60. But £8.85 for a limited. For me, that just seems too good to be true. I know he's been injured for a long time. There's not much sort of data on him in that last season. The season before that, there were some really nice peak scores in there. And I can stack him with Brad Guzan. That's Miles Robinson out the way. Fontas is just the most solid defender that you're going to probably find in the MLS at £3.81 floor. 33 years old. Yeah, I mean, he's been around for a while. Very, very consistent scores. His L40 is 50, and he's played 85 of those sort of games. So, you kind of know what you're getting with him. He's a starter every week. Do I want to waste 54 points of L15 on Fontas every week? No, maybe I don't. But the option is there if I kind of know, okay, well, this week my forward has only an L15 of 30. I can probably afford to plug Fontas in at 52, 53, 54 L15 and kind of not, like, there's just not that much downside to it, depending on the other 3 players, of course, right? So he's in there for £3.80. I couldn't leave him there at that price. And then we've gone with John Nelson, who is newly recruited by St. Louis FC, or St. Louis City, in the MLS. Scored really well on the weekend, as you can see by his L15. Scored a 66. Played right back. They drew 2-2 with Austin, I believe. So that's 2 goals conceded. So there was definitely points lost there as well. Which
Austin
is always
away though, man. Like, jeez.
It's not easy to not an easy place to go to, especially in your first sort of franchise game of the MLS. It's a big game, big occasion, and you've scored well there. L15 of 28, which I just love the look of. Like that's the type of player that I'd be playing this weekend. They're at home to Charlotte. L15 of 28 is just beautiful. And at £5.18, again, like you said, all your guys are around the £5 mark. I just couldn't really leave him there at that price. Yeah, I think he's going to be a nailed-on starter going forward. He's at Cincinnati last year. And that's kind of all I've spent on my defenders. What's that, like 18, 19 quid on 3 defenders? And I think I'll have a variety of choices there. I can go with the safe option with Fontas if I need. I've got the stack of the Atlanta boys if I want to go with Guzan and Robinson. Or I can play a different angle and go with Nelson if I think St. Louis FC have got a good fixture. And this game week would fall into that category for me.
Nice. Perfect. Well, I'll move us into midfield where, again, it will get weird for me, but I'm expecting fireworks from you because it seems like you've saved up quite a lot of your budget for your midfielders, for your decisives. Bear in mind, please, I'm glad I'm going first because mine will not be as fun. Again, remember, it's Challenger and Second Division. I'm going to go for Christopher Olsen. I think he's on loan at Michelin from Anderlecht, where he might have moved permanently, but he's gone over there. Cardoso of the Miguel variety. So he's the club mate of Hosseini. So 2 Kayserispor players. Didn't do it on purpose, but something to consider when you are building your gallery. Like, it's much easier to keep track of players if you buy them from the same team.
Yeah.
Like, you don't have to do quite as much research. Then we've got Philip Pommer from Ried, and we've got Pablo Martinez from Levante, and the last one, I can't just put Sanchez in, that will just be all of the Sanchez's, Luismi Sanchez. So the one thing working against me here, I reckon, in terms of the vote, is that a lot of people just won't be that familiar with these players. So, you know, in these situations, it can be a bit of a leap into the unknown. But Cardoso, decent winger for Kayserispor. L15 is in control. Luismi Sanchez loves a card, needs to calm down, probably won't at 30. But the L5 will show you that he can put up some big scores. Pommer is going to drop into that bottom half of the Austrian Bundesliga table again. So he's a winger for Ried, second bottom, but not the worst team in the league. He should be able to have some fun quite soon. Pablo Martinez has recently come into a very important role for Levante after a change of manager. He's been there for ages. He struggled to hold down a spot, but he's started to score really well as a number 10. Looks like he's got the position. He's still very cheap. And Christopher Olsen over in Denmark, actually playing a bit up front at times at the moment, which is a bit weird. But if you've got a midfielder card up front, it can't be a bad thing if he's getting more decisives. So that's who I've gone for. Those are my 5.
I don't mind them. What's the most expensive one there? They can't be very expensive.
It's Olsen, I think. Let's have a
what?
look. Yeah,
8?
it's £4.63 floor.
£4?
Yeah, man.
That's
The Pommer
insane.
is less than £1. I mean, yeah, his L5 is 57. How on earth can he be 95p? But
That's ridiculous.
it is what it is, man.
Yeah, no, there's some. Well, from what I'm seeing there, they're all sort of
Yeah.
decent enough L15s in terms of color.
Yeah,
Anyway,
nothing.
they're all green, as far as I can see.
I mean, sometimes you'd ideally have a little bit of yellow in there, but I mean,
For sure.
remember the overarching strategy. I've got 5 midfielders there, and I've got 5 defenders here. I want to mix and match my goalkeeper for the best matchup. I've got genuine power in attack for decisives, and then I will just pick 3 of 10 to fill out the gaps in midfield and defense. You've kind of gone the other direction where you've sacrificed in the forward area. I've sacrificed across what I think is the more versatile pool, which is the midfielder and defender.
Interesting.
It's just easier to swap in and out because you can get more of them for less money.
True.
I've got 10.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
so
no,
that's how I wanted. That's how I wanted to address it. I just wanted that flexibility. So none of my midfielders are knockout. Like I'm not looking at any of them and thinking, "Wow, he's really good." Like, but up front, I'm like Maxi Gomez up front for Trabzonspor. Yeah, let's get in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm glad that you're following me with hopefully bigger names, and I'm not following you here.
No, not at all. But yeah, in terms of my sort of midfielders, they are sort of where I've spent the most. One's a standout. The rest are just not fill-ins, but I think they could sort of grow in sort of stature and price as this sort of seasons goes on. We've only had a couple of games of these America seasons, right? So there's not much to go off. But we'll give you some names. We're going with Jose Paradella of River Plate, who's nice and cheap, actually. I think he cost me £5. We're going with the veteran that is Hector Herrera.
Whoop!
Houston Dynamo FC.
Big score in the first week, huh?
Big scorer for the first week. We're going with another sort of very Andre Fontas pick in Remy Walter of Sporting Kansas City.
You're playing the old threshold, mate. Back when I used to have an America shortlist for the threshold this coming summer, and thankfully before they changed the rules, I was going to go and buy Fontas and Walter. I was going to do it, and then obviously they changed the rules, so you can't just stick to the same cards. But yeah, spot on.
But my main sort of midfield in terms of price and in terms of the capabilities of hitting those peak scores, and I think he's undervalued as it is Oscar Romero of Boca Juniors.
Oscar Romero.
He set me back a whopping £14.17p. He was £15 yesterday, I believe, so he's dropped since yesterday. I think he got an assist yesterday in the cup. Boca won some sort of cup last night, Sam. I'm not sure if you're familiar with what it was, but they won something. They won a game 4-0 and they lifted a trophy. That's all I know.
Oh, good for them.
it wasn't covered. And Romero did get an assist. But if you've watched Boca play, you're going to know how good Oscar Romero is. If you haven't watched him play, then just type his highlights in on YouTube and just have a look at how good of a football player he is. L5 of 65. I'd like to show you. Let's see if we can go into his I mean, this is the only play we've done this for, but the guy can score big, Sam. Game before last, 2 assists, 26 AA, 96.5. 3 games before that, winning goal, 32 AA, got him a 92. And then 2 games before that, an assist, 79, 71 in the middle of that, a 63 just before that, and a 45 at the weekend with no DA. But a player who, again, the season's only kind of started in Argentina. I can see this L15 creeping up quite quick. So that, it goes against us if we're playing him in cap. But what I've done is, and like you've alluded to, I've kind of been able to accommodate 4 players like him with my with my lower sort of L15 forwards, and he's the guy that I'd be looking at every week, really, to just get me out of the mud, basically. Can you get me a decisive? Can you get me 2? And can you get me to that 70, 80, 90? And just make, like you said, if you can get 2 DAs, I know normally you'd get them, with separate players, but even if you get one player that's just smashing 80s, 90s, that's like one of them, and then a couple of 45s and stuff. You're just there. You're just basically there, aren't you? As long as
if you're like him and you put up 20 AA alongside the 2 decisives, then yeah, you're obviously going to hit 90, and you're probably going to hit it at that point.
And at £14, I just don't think players like that will be that price in the next sort of couple of weeks, just because the European seasons are, coming to an end over the next sort of 2 months or so, and I just see him being that sort of, or one of those sort of America guys. Like he hasn't got the name of Carlos Heel. He's not in the MLS. Like, they're not going to be, I don't know how much Heel is right now. Let's say he's like 70 quid. I don't know what he is. He's going to be a decent amount of money for a limited, and you can get an Oscar Romero for £14. He takes set pieces, and yeah, he's kind of the sort of the building blocks, I guess, of my cap mode every week. And he's only got an L15 of 53 right now, so he's more than playable right now. We haven't even got to the other 3 players. Remy Walter does what it says on the tin. He's just going to get you very decent scores every week. He's never going to, like, the L15's never really going to probably drop below 50, which, like you said, is suited the old threshold in that sense. He was never going to be that expensive. He was never going to, break the bank in that sense, but you always knew what you're going to get from him, and it's the same this season. He's a great midfielder. £3.95 floor. It's just hard not to, it's hard not to have him as an option if I want him there. He's not going to score the peaks of Romero. He doesn't really have that in his game, really. But you could potentially, if I'm only going to play 1 defender and 1 forward, I could accommodate for a Romero and a Walters quite easy with a 51 and a 53 L15. That I'm not breaking the bank there. I'm not leaving myself too short on the other positions. And then Paradella has a really low L15 right now of 38. He got a goal on the weekend. Watched a lot of them last season with Enzo Fernandez and Julian Alvarez being there. And Paradella wasn't like nailed on every week, but every time he'd play, I'd be a little bit blown away. He's an amazing dribbler, like really low center of gravity, can just go past players like they're not even there, and he's been decisive over the last sort of few games. Obviously, those players aren't there anymore. It's a different sort of dynamic in the team, but he's been taking corners. He's been on set pieces as well, of course. Why else would I pick him? And yeah, at £5, I can live with it. I think he can have a place in my sort of 12-man contingency for this cap mode, and then ending things with Herrera. £5.58. He had an absolute monster game on the weekend. I think he scored 93 in a 1-0. No, it was a 2-1 loss, I believe, because he had an assist. So they definitely scored. He's on all set pieces for Houston Dynamo. International player, been playing for Mexico for God knows how many years, and he's got to be close to 100 caps, I'd like to think. Maybe more. He should.
I thought you were going to say he's got to be close to 100 years old.
He's only 32.
Yeah.
It's a nice age.
He's run a lot of yards in his career. That's the thing. So he's he's early 30s, but his body probably feels like he's about 36. But
especially in the Atletico team.
He's certainly got I think a big season in store for him. He was wearing the armband, wasn't he? For Houston, I think. So
captain.
I mean, Christ, fair enough. I always find it interesting, the different strategies here. There's like 3 or 4 different ways you can go on cap. And one of the main ones I've seen people talk about, and I think it's one that you've kind of echoed, is that you have like some very stable 50-odd players in the middle, and then they're always about 50 and you mix and match. And I haven't really gone for that. I've gone more broad and more matchup based.
Yeah.
But it is possible to pick up someone like Remy Walter and basically stick him in as 50 and then find the 35 up front to accommodate it.
Yeah.
there's not one single way to do this. It's very interesting, and we have gone different ways.
Yeah, we're both targeting the exact same competition. Our goal is the exact same. Okay, yours is a little bit different because you have 2 starting goalkeepers. You're able to venture out and go elsewhere into other divisions. I can't do that. I don't have that luxury. I'm going all in on one thing. My only goal every weekend is, can I hit that threshold? And if I do, then can I go nick a card? Because there's rare cards given out in this competition. Okay, I don't think there's no tier 1s. I think tier 2 is the highest, or maybe there's one tier 1. Regardless, there's still something to aim for in terms of like moving up the divisions. There is progression there, but ultimately that £5 every week, $5, whatever it is my bread and butter, and that would be my sort of goal.
So I mean, I put my team together. Before we came on, was like, right, well, now I've put together this gallery of like 18, 19 players. I better check I can field a threshold team for this week, right? Using it, because otherwise I've kind of failed.
Yeah.
And I can start Schiel in goal, Kabako, Olsen, and then 2 strikers, Gilavogi and Maxi Gomez. I can start all 5 of them for 238 points, so 2 under on the cap, and they can fight for it. And I reckon between Maxi and Gilavogi, I've got a really good shot at 2 decisives there. And then using the other team, I can use Luta in goal, Carlos Neva, Petro, Pablo Martinez, and Callejon, and I can field that in 2nd division.
Wow.
And genuinely, the way Petro and Neva are going, and if Callejon delivers a nice corner, I'm not ruling that team out of winning a tier 3. So I feel like I've done a pretty good job here of getting the nice breadth to it and giving myself 2 possible strategies, not just one.
Yeah.
And like obviously the second team that you put in Challenger or 2nd division, it's not a powerhouse. It's never going to be a powerhouse.
Yeah.
But you never know. It could be your day. Someone might just sling in a lovely corner, and then someone else might hit one from 30 yards, and all of a sudden the dream is on. And that's kind of all you're asking for, really, from 100.
Yeah, especially like you just said, £100. Like, in the grand scheme of things, it's a lot of money. But ultimately, on Sorare, it didn't used to go very far. It now goes a lot further. And to be able to field 2, relatively competitive lineups with excess on the bench / just in reserve, I think it's enticing. Like, it just makes the game just a lot more, accessible. It really does.
God, I wish I'd joined now. I mean, like, genuinely, like, if I was joining now, I'm a man of my word. Like, I would 100% just buy these players and field these teams this weekend. I would do it. Not going to be doing that. I've got my own gallery, been on the platform a year and a half. But yeah, for those that are looking to step in, it's a fun landscape. £100 is a lot, but it won't break the bank for some. If you feel comfortable in the fact that you think you can earn, $5 a week of that back relatively quickly, get yourself earning and therefore succeeding at the platform and enjoying it for not the biggest buy-in in the world. Honestly, it feels nice that you can have this many options and build this kind of team in this gallery with this budget. Like, when I joined September 2021, I sat there on a Sunday power hour and tried to find myself that limited goalkeeper that would let me actually field a team. And, I ended up spending 250 quid on Ivo Gerbic, who was at Lille at the time, although he was later dropped for poor performance. So I got out of that one before that happened. But that was your point of entry back then. And we're talking about quite literally like a 10th of the price, maybe just a bit less for 2 goalkeepers there that I found for 20 odd quid. That makes it more accessible, as you say, and that makes it a lot more fun. A lot more fun indeed.
No, that was a really good episode. I'm sure the people at home, if they're brand new to Sorare, maybe have not even signed up yet, taken inspiration from it. And yeah, let us know, guys, in the comment section below whose gallery you preferred. Is it mine with the America? You've got 30 games, 35 games now. Can you hit the threshold every week? And then you've got Sam's capped 240 strategy, but also the added bonus of potentially going over and playing a second lineup in Challenger or 2nd Division Europe. So yeah, let us know what your favorite is. Let us know why. And yeah, one of you guys will be winning a limited card from either of us, basically. Whoever gets the least amount of votes between me and Sam, we'll be having to give away a limited card. So look out for that. Leave a like on the video if you did enjoy. Sam, thank you for joining me.
Oh, thanks for having me, Harry.
Yeah, and that'll be the end of episode 3, Sorare Gallery Builder.